Hey everybody, welcome to The Building Code. I'm your host, Paul Worth. We are in episode 99. Exciting times here. One away from the big 100. We're very proud of that accomplishment. In this 99th episode, we have Russ Lane from our mobile app product team talking all things mobile app. You're going to love this episode. We get into where their heads are at with their mobile app. How are they thinking about the app? How they talk to our clients, yourselves, about how they use it every day in the field. And then we obviously talk about what is coming down the pike. We're going to talk about a great update you're going to see in 9.0. I believe it's coming in November. And we're also going to talk about 2021, what to expect from our mobile app, which is so important to the usage of our program. And so Russ does a great job of talking all things mobile app. Have a listen. Russ, welcome. Thanks for joining us on The Building Code.
Yeah, happy to be here. First time, long time. Very excited.
Long time listener. That's what we love to hear. Yep. We're in studio, which is always better.
Oh, yeah.
We did months of these Zoom calls, and it was just kind of always awkward for podcasts. So happy
to
have you in the studio. We're social distancing. We're following all the rules, so don't worry about that. Why is Russ here? Well, let me tell you about it. He's going to talk about our mobile app. And I know if you're a listener of the podcast and you're using Buildertrend, you know how critical mobile app is to our users, because we live in an industry that is in the field probably half the time or more, right?
Yep.
So, Russ, you are the staff product manager in our product team, and your focus is the mobile platform, right?
Correct.
So let's just start there. What actually, I guess, is the strategy, or what is the focus of the mobile team? I know you have this mantra, I guess it's called, which I didn't know until right now, so I'm excited to hear about it. Sure. But it's in, out, back.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about that. What is that mantra?
It's just kind of a simplified spin on a portion of our mission, which is to build the best-in-class mobile platform for construction professionals on the job site.
Beautiful.
We want to get them into the app, out of the app, and back to the real work.
Okay, I love that.
So
because
in, out, back.
People don't use our product just so they could be on it all day, right?
No, and that's something that we've accepted, and it actually empowers us to do some really cool stuff once you kind of realize that no one's going to get home, hit the couch, and scroll through Buildertrend, right? We're not Instagram, so it's a work app. It's productivity. It's got to be fast. It's got to be efficient. It's got to be valuable. But getting them, in and out. From a lot of the people we talk to, they don't want the phone in their hands, right? They want to be doing construction. Right. So we want to get them back to that. We all understand that there's some documentation side of that, but once you're done with that, we want it to be quick, valuable, get you back to the real work.
That's really interesting, because a lot of technology companies, again, you brought up the social media platforms, like their whole goal is to keep you in the app, right? Like they want you on screen time, they want those eyeballs, but if we're doing our job as an application, you're in, you're out, and you're back to work.
Back to the real work, absolutely.
I feel like we get our marketing team on that.
I know.
Yeah, we can use that.
It's pretty sweet, huh?
That's slick. Awesome. So I guess let's take a step back. You've been with us a handful of years. We've known each other. What brought you to Buildertrend, and how long you've been with us? Just tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. So it's actually coming up about 30 days is going to be my 5-year. So
congratulations.
Pretty
That's
exciting.
Awesome.
I think I was employee 104 maybe, which it's been insane as you know, being here the whole time, but even the past 5 years, the growth, the change, it's been wild. But yeah, my background's actually in digital marketing.
Okay.
Took a bit of a leap coming here. I didn't really love the place I was working at. Knew about this place, knew about this culture. I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Took a leap. Actually started out as a coach. Did my first year in the customer success department, which I personally think everybody who works here should have to do that, either periodically or at least start the first couple of months talking to our customers, getting a feel for the industry that we support. It's one thing to do, digital products and SaaS. It's another to understand what you're building it for and who you're building it for. So
we're really unique in the fact that we serve an industry that has really low tech adoption, but like we talked about in the intro, like they're in the field doing things, right? We're not serving somebody who's in the office 100% of the time. So you've got to sort of immerse yourself and understand where they come from. So I get that had to have helped you as you transitioned to product, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I remember talking to people that were on the site, and it was like, can you speak up, man? It's loud. It's windy. You got hammers going on in the background. People are asking you questions just walking by. It's been crazy. And I was fortunate enough in that first year, there was a product partnership, as I think what it was called at the time. And I was one of the first people to come over from the customer success department into product, and did well enough to stay on full time, and eventually, as right now, kind of running both the iOS and Android mobile platforms. So it's been a pretty exciting 5 years for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that was a really great idea. I don't know who had that idea, but I think as a goal, as you know, a life cycle of Buildertrend, you know, we had this amazing set of coaches, we called them back then, and I think they can still be called that, because that's really what we're doing. We're trying to teach you Buildertrend. So our customer success division, but what we had found out, because we don't require construction experience to come work at Buildertrend. Quite honestly, most people don't have any. And so we've always looked at how can we get our team to understand what the real life is. That gets their headspace into the problems. That allows our team to solve those problems and empathize with our clients, obviously. And so one of those projects we had beyond our education we do, which is very extensive when you get onboarded, is we brought some people from customer success into the product department, right? And so we wanted to bring some of that real life stuff you heard on the phone, the challenges people had of implementing software, into our product. I think that was obviously a great program we had, and obviously a lot of the people in product today started as Buildertrend coaches in the customer success division, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The majority of them have at least taken calls, whether or not they were officially in that on that team. And even today, even though we're not actually taking calls, we're constantly watching the recorded trainings. We're scouring chat, any sort of feedback channel that we can find. We're digging in there as hard as we can to try to really understand the root of what these people are having to deal with on a daily basis.
Right. It would be funny if we just get you guys all on the job site. Maybe we'll just have our own little team.
Man, I got to tell you, that's you hit a hot button with me and my team. We were lined up 2020, ready to go. We had I actually March 11th, I was in Baltimore joining an on-site consultant out there.
Oh, that's right.
We landed in St. Louis when really the Rudy Gobert thing and all that was that big night, right? So it was pretty crazy having to do that. And we had three or four more on-sites that we were going to tag along with. We had some local companies that were going to allow us to come do some field studies, field visits, and just follow them around all day. I had a project manager, I was like, treat me like you are training me to do your job.
Yeah,
like I'm going to follow you for 3 days, and I want you to talk out loud about everything that you're doing.
Love that.
Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to do it. And
COVID.
COVID ruins everything. Yep. But we're trying to work around it a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got a good set of customers that we talk with often, really more about the problems that they run into on a daily basis. I like talking to people most often about not Buildertrend. Like, how did you do this 10 years ago? How would you do this if you didn't have a phone? And taking that stuff that, you know, as you said, it's a non-tech or a low-tech adoption industry, and a lot of that comes from, it might be the oldest industry in the world. And so it's pretty crazy in that way to try to digitize something that's existed for that long.
Yeah, it's a challenge that we take head on with something we love to do, but it definitely is a challenge to. It's not about typically the X's and O's of what Buildertrend does. It's about trying to understand their workflow and then getting, you know, our sort of operating system embedded into their workflow. That's a big challenge. But it's also like a lot of our clients come to us, and you know, as your time in the customer success division, they're not just saying, how do I do scheduling? They're saying, how should I be doing scheduling, right?
Correct,
they're not just asking how they should do what they do in our app. They're actually asking us for better ways or to actually guide them on how to do their job. And a lot of that stuff in the field, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, how do I best communicate with my client? Like, gosh, they're calling me all the time. Like, what's my best sort of tempo, and like, should I post a daily log every day? Should I do it every 2 days? So that's stuff that we've always sort of guided our clients on when they ask, and I think that's a big part of the job. So specifically about the mobile app, you know, you guys have this in, out, back mentality, and you're leading that charge right now. 2020 pandemic hit. We obviously understand that, threw a wrench in a few things, but in 2020, can we talk about a few things that I guess have changed in the mobile app, whether they're updates or insights that you guys had that go, okay, this is how we're going to do it from now on?
Yeah, the good part about how COVID affected us was the strategy that we were trying to do, the people we were trying to support, their jobs to be done is kind of how we call it, their daily jobs to be done. Those lended themselves really well to, well, how are people going to have to change their jobs because of this thing? Heightened communication, efficiency, keeping things on schedule, and when things go off schedule, why, documenting that why. It's been an interesting year in that way, and early on we started to look at our usership, and just kind of distribution amongst the different roles and the different features that they were using. And what was really glaring was, about 80 to 85% of our mobile sessions, so the amount of people logging into the mobile app on both Android and iOS, were field crew and superintendents and project managers. And based on geolocation, we were like, okay, well, these people aren't at their office, right? So we know that type of person is out in the field most often.
Right.
And what was awesome was it turned out, based on those three roles, the things that they utilize in the app most often, they were all the same. They were looking at time clock, they were looking at schedule, they were uploading photos, doing daily logs, to-dos. So we were able to really start promoting those features and establish kind of a core set of functionality for the app specifically. As you know, throughout the time, we've tried to maintain as much parity as possible. If you can do it on the web, you can do it on the app, which that's still there. But what we've done is really elevated and kind of amplified those 4 or 5 things that those types of people need to do every day.
I love that. So essentially what we did, and look, we're always learning and growing, and we're looking at our data set and our users, and we're trying to, just continually evolve, right? Like, we want to be the best platform, as you said, for the construction industry. And so essentially what you're talking about is we sort of started identifying not every user is a user of Buildertrend. Like, they're a user, but they are a foreman, they're a superintendent, they're an office person, they do financials. And so we're starting to tailor some of that functionality to roles.
Absolutely.
And look at it that way, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's I think that's great, because we're dialing down from the company and we're going back to the employee, and then that can only help us make their day-to-day better.
Hit the nail on the head perfectly right there.
Yeah,
not thinking of company. Yeah, exactly. that was done on purpose. Thinking about the individual and how they use it on a day-to-day basis. And right now we're still too wide of a swath for my liking. I would like to get a little smarter on, maybe not just that group of people, but maybe we could tailor a couple of the things, promote the things that you do specifically in the app on a day-to-day basis.
I love that.
That's kind of the longer term vision.
Oh, that's perfect. So we're trying to get to a place where we don't look at every user as user, but we're actually looking at Peter from Joe's Custom Homes in Kansas City, and we're saying, like, how can we make this really great for this specific person? Yeah, that's awesome. So super tailored. So the changes that we have made when we've changed that philosophy or evolved our philosophy, which we're always doing here, have you gotten some feedback from customers on that? Have they said, yes, this is what we want, keep going down this road?
Yeah, and a lot of what we've done so far is kind of tertiary, I would say. Like, we've adjusted the navigation, for example. Like the 5 most used things are now the shortcuts. Those are the things
you can get to those right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
The release we're going to come out with very soon, mid-November, 9.0, will be one of the biggest we've ever done.
Oh, I'm excited.
We're changing we're updating the general navigation, so those 4 or 5 things will be on the bottom. You won't even have to go into what we call the drawer to get there. So if you've used Instagram, like we talked about, you're going to be able to get to time clock, schedule, photos, that kind of stuff in a simple click from anywhere in the app.
Love it.
Along with that, another thing that we learned was the majority of the app isn't actually doing things. It's not actually creating the schedule or editing the schedule. Right. It's consuming. And so what we've done and what we've got coming out here, again, one of them will be in 9.0, and then really short order right after that, a couple of our other core features will be a view state, which what that means is it's not always in edit mode, which we've kind of traditionally always been. It's got its benefits. I don't have to click anything to add something to this field. But if most people aren't adding to that field in the first place, why am I even seeing it? So I can now look at a daily log is a great example. And I know I keep talking about Instagram, but it promotes the photos really high. It's got the caption right there. Your comments are kind of nested underneath of it. If something wasn't filled out on the daily log, it's not shown in that view state.
Right.
So
I love that. So going back, many years ago, we as a company made a really important decision to invest heavily in the mobile app. And one of those, I guess, ideas or ethos was we want the mobile app to be as functional as if you're in front of a computer in the office, meaning that if you can build, edit a schedule, well, you should be able to do that in the app. If you can, that goes down to every single avenue of our 29 plus features, right?
Yep.
I think we're at a place, basically to summarize what you were saying, is that sure, that's great in concept, but in reality, when you talk to our clients, they really don't need all the time to be editing like a purchase order or something. And maybe that's a bad example, but you know what I mean? Like we want to meet them where they're at and what they're doing. And instead of making everything super editable and total functionality, if they don't need that, why are we using the space?
Exactly.
And let's get back to the in, out, and back, right?
Yep. It's a great example is something that we do on the product world is we ask a lot of whys,
right?
To the point that we're annoying. Like
to our customers, you mean?
Whenever I'm talking to anybody,
right,
if somebody says I need to do X, I try to ask as many whys as I can to get to the root of the problem.
Right. So if I come to you with a really crazy idea,
I'm going to ask you why at least 5 times.
Okay, good.
And what's crazy is
I've been in that room with you before.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Okay.
What's crazy is it works though.
Yeah.
Like so we talk to a bunch of people, and every time that we hear, well, I don't like editing the schedule on the app. Well, why?
Right.
And it always gets down to the fact that I just don't like the idea of editing something like that on my phone.
Right.
It's the device problem. Like
right.
we can make it awesome.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get over that human of I actually need to be on a bigger screen and see how this is going to happen
right.
versus just changing a date. You know what I mean? And of course there's some stuff that we could do there, and we
sure.
want people to be able to make that kind of an edit. But right mm-hmm. now we're scaling back, so to speak, and really, as you said, meeting people where they are and what they need to do
right.
to be as efficient as possible.
Right.
And we define efficiency as getting the most value in the shortest amount of time.
Exactly. Like we don't need you on the screen all the time, like
right.
we talked about,
yeah.
which is great. I love that. So you're constantly getting feedback from our clients. When we release things, we get feedback. Obviously, and again, if you're listening to this for the first time in terms of our product, by no means are we a company that says, "Hey, call us if you have an idea," and not really mean it. Like we want feedback.
Yeah.
Again, we're here in Omaha, Nebraska, and we're 560 employees. And we're not on the job site every day. I don't think that's even feasible. So, a huge advantage for our product team is to hear from our clients. Good, bad, ugly, just tell us what you're feeling. We're going to ask you why 17 times, but it won't take all day.
Yeah.
But that's only going to help our product and in turn help you in your day-to-day, which is really great.
Yep.
So, you talked a little bit about 9.0, but as we get into 2021, are there any things? And I know product does not like to talk about what's going to happen because you never know, right?
I'll talk to you about what we're thinking.
Okay,
about.
good. So just there's the asterisk here.
Yeah.
Is that this is what we're thinking. This is where our head's at. And I think this is great for our clients to hear because they always ask this question. Like they don't want to be in the dark, and nor do we want to keep them there. Like we'll tell you exactly our strategy and what we're thinking, and you tell us if we're off, right? So let's talk about strategy, or just more, what is Russ think and his team thinking about as it relates to our mobile app?
Sure. So we've actually kicked off 2021 planning a couple of weeks ago, and what we keep coalescing around is kind of 2 tracks. So we've got digestibility, which is what we just talked about with the view states. Like, how quick can I get the information that I need? Right.
If I'm looking at a screen, it's overwhelming maybe, and so how do we make that less overwhelming, and I'm in, out, and I'm just seeing the things that I want to see?
Exactly. Okay. The information that I need, whether that's at the top of the screen, or we strip some stuff out that wasn't filled out. Cognitive load is like a thing that you'll hear from our team all the time. Let's reduce cognitive load. I don't want to have to look through all these things to find the thing that I need.
Okay.
You should know what I need, right? That's kind of our
That's a great
task.
example there. So like daily log, we talk about Instagram and daily logs a lot in this podcast. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good episode for them.
It's a good feature.
But the daily log is a great feature because it's so
fantastic.
versatile and it works across all segments, right? We have 4 main segments that we segment our customers into. It's home building, remodeling, and renovation, specialty contracting, which there's a number of different types of businesses there, and then light commercial. No matter who you are in any of those, you should be using the daily log feature for a number of different ways. It's a great way to account for what happened on the job site that day internally. It's a great way to communicate externally to like your clients or subs what happened on the job site that day, and just you have a record of everything, right? But not every daily log feature is filled out. So in a daily log feature, you can have the general notes, right? Then you can add photos, you can attach files, you can mark the weather, you can say like who was on the job site, and then of course there's custom fields you can add to it. But not every single person fills out every one of those spaces. So like when you're looking at one, why should I have to look at the dead space?
Right.
Or things that aren't filled out, or things that don't pertain to what I'm looking for.
Yep.
So that's essentially what you're saying.
100%.
We are going to surface the things that are there, and everything else you don't need to know. You can go find it later if you want to, but when you're looking at it, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect description of it. Let's take away all those times that our eyes have to go back and forth or up and down to find the thing that we need. Like if it's not filled out, it wasn't filled out for a reason. Right. So, I mean, you can see it if you go into the actual edit mode of the thing and refill it out if you'd like to. But
I love that.
As of right now, it's just here's all of the content related to this thing that was actually satisfied. And another part of the digestibility side is as good as in out back is as far as a mantra, like we're questioning whether we have to get you in a lot of cases. Like, can we leverage? I don't know if you know, Apple just came out with Widgets, which all of the Android guys on my team would yell at me if I didn't mention that Android's had them for like 12 years.
That's like everybody says that about whenever iOS or Apple comes out with something, you inevitably
fish shaking.
Android's like, we had that for years.
Yep, absolutely. And in which Apple is like, thanks for doing all the heavy lifting for us, all the testing, and we can just do it now.
Right. They do everything, and if people like it, then Apple does it.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly.
Great.
So
it's a good business model.
Something cool was at the 2020 hackathon, which is a fantastic event here at BT.
Well, hold on. Let's just explain to the team, explain to the listeners what that is.
Sure. Yeah, and I might be off on the amount of days, but I think it's about 2 days, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a Thursday, Friday, once a year. Anybody from the company can spark up an idea, can grab a team. If they need devs, they grab devs. If they need a designer, they grab one of those. Product people, they can come from anywhere. And then they basically try to build whatever they wanted to in 2 days. And this year, I think it was, what could we get actually into the system?
Yeah.
What are some of those kind of high-level ideas that no one's really touched yet?
Those crazy ideas.
Yeah. And there was actually a team that built a widget. This came right on the heels of the Apple event earlier this year where they announced them. And so that's pretty close to done. And it's a time clock widget. It's we're actually kicking off, trying to get that thing across the finish line here in the next couple of weeks. And we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
It's again, do we even need to get you into the app? Can you see if you're clocked in right now? Can you take a break right now without having to even get to our app?
Right. My kids will know this because when Widgets came out, they just did a ton of stuff with it. But I still don't know what that means. So essentially, if I'm looking at my phone, today I go into the Buildertrend app, I tap on it, and then I go navigate where I want to navigate. I clock in, I clock out, I do all those things. So what you're saying is a widget would be just on the home screen, and you can just sort of see information right then and there without having to go into the app.
Absolutely, yeah. There's some differences between the two platforms. Android allows you to actually take action on the thing, so you could literally clock in and out from that widget without on your home screen. Don't even need to get into Buildertrend. iOS, it's more of a redirect, so it'll actually it'll save you some clicks getting to the time clock page, basically. But it'll give you a count of you've been clocked in for X amount of hours. Here's your break time left. All that kind of stuff will be visible right on your home screen. And we like lofty goals, and we want to take over entire page of people's phones with Buildertrend widgets.
Well, I like that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Buildertrend takeover on your phone in a good way.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to a question, which is, or I guess just a statement is, your job's got to be difficult and also great because your platform is the Android and the iOS, and they're always coming out with updates. And so when they come out with updates, like, oh gosh, we can do this now.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And it's more constant than our other like full app developers. Like when you're on the computer, like, yes, there's always new technology and code coming out that allows it to do stuff. We've been doing a rewrite all year, which is really going to open up a ton of great stuff we're super excited for. But that's more long-term stuff. You actually see stuff as the iOS and the Android platforms update, and that happens more often.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really
it
cool.
Happens at least a year, and that's been the widget. The widget concept has kind of sparked this other conversation that we're constantly having about what does mobile technology have that we could leverage to help our customers, and that's kind of our second mission is efficiency. We talk a lot on the product side about, and this is a great example going back to talking to customers, and they'll say something like, hey, I need to be able to change the job this daily log was uploaded to, because copy pasting it is really hard. I have to download all the photos. And so the conversation immediately starts to, well, how could we get them to easily change that job on that daily log and get it to the correct one? Where my job and my group of people, our job is to really ask, well, why was it in the wrong job in the first place?
Right, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Like, how do we solve that issue?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so that's kind of another lofty goal is solve problems before they happen. Like people are forgetting to clock out. Well, can we use location services to say, hey, you just got to the Jones job. You normally clock in here. Do you want to clock in? Or you go to upload something and we know you're on the Jones job. We can say, hey, do you want us to flip that to you? Like, can we get you there right now?
Love that.
Let's solve those problems before they happen. Keep those jobs on schedule and on budget that way.
Right. Listening to you, if I'm a listener, it's like, I'm envisioning the product team like in a dark room at all times, like with coffee and just talking about the problems.
Man, I
like
wish.
idealizing, like that's all you guys do. And no, I'm just kidding,
I wish.
You're always thinking about
I almost
that.
bought a whiteboard for my house to put on an entire wall. I miss my whiteboard here, man.
That's right. There's a lot of scribbling on whiteboard in the product department.
Moving things on columns, writing on whiteboards. Yeah,
a lot of sticky notes.
Yep, tons of them.
Talking about personas and things like that. Well, the listeners should know that you guys are literally 40 hours a week thinking about how to make their experience with Buildertrend better, and that's what's great. I mean, you can hear it from what you're talking about. Is like that's always on top of your mind.
Oh yeah, 40 hours would be a light week.
Yeah, that's right.
I lose some sleep about some.
Your
of this
wife's
stuff,
probably like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I'll start talking about some stuff. She'll be like, I know about 3 of the words that you just said.
That's kind of how I am when I'm in a product meeting. I love it. You guys are great. So what else in 2021? I know these are really great, like, insights into what you guys are thinking. I think they should be really exciting for our listeners and our users to listen to. What else you got?
Really, that's the high level kind of concepts that we have right now, are that digestibility, that efficiency, solving those problems before they happen. What I'm really excited for is the growth of our team internally when it comes to keeping things at tight scope. And what that means is not constantly thinking about, let's reimagine this whole thing. Like, we've got this thing. It's obviously valuable to some people, so let's amplify it in kind of these short, quick, call them experiment ways. Like, can we get fewer daily logs to be uploaded to the wrong job if we do this? And let's try it one time, maybe a small group, see how it works. If it works, let's go. If it doesn't, let's rethink it, V2 that thing. So that's what I'm most excited for. Is you'll see in 2021 a lot of small tweaks that will change people's daily lives in a lot of ways that I don't think they'll recognize, which is kind of
consciously
good.
Yeah, that's a really good thing, right? They'll just feel overall good about it. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, and this happens in every technology company in the world, is when you're in product, you're always focused on solving things, but sometimes you just sit and you just go back and forth, where you're never really taking action because the problems can be so big and there's so many ways you could solve it, and so you just sort of like just keep talking about it. And I think, again, every company has some of that stuff because people really care and they want to solve it. But what you're saying is like, let's pick a couple of them. We know there's some things out there. Let's go attack it in a small group, ideas on it, and then let's just see if that works.
Yeah, let's do something quick. Let's find a way to measure it, I guess, which that's always kind of one of the funniest things for us is like, I don't know, you think about this productivity software, and one of the reasons that people buy it, we consistently hear this, is I'm tired of having to manually do this. So if you buy software and all of a sudden after the first month you're manually reconciling a bunch of time clock entries because they were coded the wrong way or someone forgot to clock out, well, why did I buy this? I was doing this anyway.
Right, we're back to where we were.
You know what I mean? So and that's what's kind of funny is some of the stuff that we try to measure is like, well, how many phone calls do we think we saved that person?
Right.
Which we can't measure it.
Right.
But if that's kind of the dream, is that someone out there is they adopt our system and a month later they're sitting there and they're like, man, I haven't had to edit that thing, or I haven't had to talk to so and so every week like I used to. And it won't be something that they feel at the time. There won't be like this aha, you know what I mean? But over time, the fewer things you have to do that aren't construction, you're going to feel better about construction. I mean, people got into this for a reason. I mean,
it's not to do paperwork.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. So I love that's where your head's at. You guys have a great team up there. Like I said, you're constantly just thinking about ways to improve the lives and the day-to-day of our users, which is really, if you just take it back to the top level of what we're trying to do at Buildertrend, that's it. So you guys have done a great job. Kudos to you, the product team. In general, I know you're just the mobile part of it, but again, that's so important to our industry. So thanks for coming on and talking about that. I know our listeners love this one because they always are listening or always wanted to hear from us, like sort of where our heads are at when it comes to new development. So 9.0 is coming out.
Yeah. Be on the lookout. It's going to be a forced upgrade, so you're going to have it. Beautiful. So that's kind of cool. I always like doing that. Not having to support 5 different versions. So 9.0, and then like I said, short order after that, we'll have some .1s coming out. I know you love our numbering system.
It's hard to keep track of.
I did say, hey, if we're going to do something this big, we got to flip to 9.
I like that.
So
all right, we're into the 9s now, which is great. Look out for 9.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to get to 10 maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
10's a big one.
Maybe we'll exit.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Apple did that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, watch out for version X coming out in 2021.
Yeah.
There's always, so what's the best way? We'll end on this. If you're a user and you're a listener and you have an idea or you have some feedback, which again, we totally encourage. I know there's a couple different avenues. What's the best one for you and your team? How do we get directly to you guys?
Sure. So, I mean, first, user voice. There's a mobile specific section on there. So if it's something specific to mobile, we want to see it. We've got all three of us or all four of us are constantly looking at that thing.
Okay.
Pulling insights out of there, reaching out to people that have posted on something.
So user voice, you can actually find in the platform. Where do you find that at?
So if you're on the desktop, it's up in the top right under the question mark under give feedback, and if you're on the mobile app, it's in the side navigation toward the bottom.
Does it say give feedback in the mobile? Okay, so go to the give feedback, post in user voice. User voice is basically our feedback forum. There's a number of topics in there already that you could up or down vote if that's similar to what you're already in there for, or you can post new things. This is something we absolutely monitor, and then you said we'll reach out to people and actually hear from them, right?
100%. Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. We can just send out a blast to anybody who's ever said, I like that idea, or we can get a little bit more focused with it. And then outside of that, I always recommend talk to your coaches, man.
They're
right. Great people. And we, like I said earlier, we do monitor that stuff. So if there's a mobile training, we're watching it and we're taking notes, and we have reached out to people that we've watched one, we heard something from them, and we contacted that person to get some more context, asked why 5 times.
That's right. Yeah. Buckle up if you put something in there, but that's a good why questions coming at you. Otherwise, they just call you personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime, 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I don't answer numbers I don't know though, so leave me a voicemail.
All right, we're gonna put his email address, his home address, and his phone number on the show notes. Russ, thanks for joining us on the Building Code. A great guest. I know people are gonna really be into this topic. We're going to check in with you and your team in 2021. We'll see how the progress is. So there's your measurable. We're coming back to this. So
I'll have a presentation with metrics and everything.
I like that. All right, man. Thanks again for coming in. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can always learn more on our website, buildertrend.com/podcast. Russ, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for listening to this episode of The Building Code. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Help us grow this community of listeners. Tell your friends, tell your family. We do appreciate it. And if you heard anything that you want to learn more about on today's episode, head out to the show notes website, buildertrend.com/podcast. As always, we appreciate you.